At the beginning of the semester, I interviewed Lana Kennedy-Brol, who I discovered on TikTok, of all places. She took a leave of absence after struggling her first semester at Cornell and ended up staying in California for 6.5 years. She thought she squandered her opportunity at the Ivy League school, but recently discovered she could come back after all the years away. She has nearly completed the redo of her first semester as a 35-year-old single mom. After the first interview, we agreed to do a follow-up later in the semester. Here is that follow-up. Last time I interviewed, obviously, a while ago. It was January. So I guess, how has your semester gone so far? I know you're almost finished with it.
It didn't go like I thought it would go. um, I mean, I think I'm passing all my classes, so that's incredible. And it was a lot harder than I expected, all of it. I know at the end of the last interview, you asked, how are you going to do it? Like, how are you going to do it with being a single mom and, returning after not being in school for 20 years? Well, I mean, had I known then what I know now, I wouldn't have come, but not in a bad way. Like now that I'm here and I've made it through this semester almost, I would say that it's mainly like financial challenges that I didn't understand how things worked financially. And when I was getting full aid and how student loans worked and what exactly I could get loans for. It took a really long time for my aid to be processed, like months into the semester. So a lot of my pre-existing adult life and expenses detracted from me being able to focus on school like I wanted to. So it took a lot longer to figure out a schedule, and it's been really hard, just all of it. But really great at the same time. So there's a lot of things that now that I understand the financial side of things, like I'm going to have to sell my truck. Like I'm not going to be able to keep that. My credit took a pretty big hit the first few months that I've been here because of things not being processed. And that was really tough to swallow because I spent 20 years building it. So all of the things, so had I known that would I would have to give up my vehicle and all of this stuff eventually, I wouldn't have made that choice, I guess, before. But now that I'm here, the cost benefit, I guess, of everything, what do I really need the vehicle? Like I hardly drive anywhere right now anyway. And do I need to take out more debt to pay for my debt? It's just like I'll be in a better situation when I leave here because everything's accessible here with the buses, and I'm busy a lot with school, and I don't know, it's not so bad. So now that I understand how things work in that sense, and I've processed it and accepted it, I think, it's worth it. I wouldn't have made the decision, I would have been too afraid, I think, to knowingly take such a big step back when my whole life as an adult was focused on, building credit and all of that stuff. And I think once I'm more settled and with all of that, I think that it'll be like a big weight off my back, like not trying to have to figure out how I'm going to pay for my truck or, all of that stuff. So that would be like the biggest thing I'd say to, now I understand why people were like, wow, that's really amazing that after all of these years in real life, like you're coming back to school. And I get it because there was a lot more to it that I didn't understand. But at the same time, I'm glad I didn't know then what I know now, because I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that it worked out this way. It's way more work than community college. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I told you, did I tell you I did a semester of community college the spring before?
No.
Yeah. So after I went through chemo and then I got rheumatoid arthritis from my treatment, I was still really feeling like I needed to get some kind of degree, just because it is hard to find something that pays you appropriately if you don't have a degree when you're a single parent and all of it. So I had enrolled in community college back in Western New York, and I was in the paralegal program. And I did one semester there. It was the spring semester. And honestly, actually, that helped me get back into Cornell when I found out I could come back in, because I was like on the dean's list for that one semester that I did there. I didn't know Cornell was an option when I did that. I was just like, oh well, I'll go and like be a paralegal. So and that was all online because of COVID. It did not prepare me for this at all. At all. I mean, I took 15 credits, I think, then, and I took 13 maybe this semester. Oh my gosh. Like I saw a TikTok the other day that was it was really great because it was like, well, it turns out the rigorous, or what is it, the academically rigorous institution that I decided to attend is indeed academic or rigorous academically. And that is my entire vibe right now. Is it's a lot. And I'm proud of myself. And it's just been a lot of like ups and downs. Prelims were really hard with my son. A lot of them were at night. I didn't realize that. I don't know. Is that how it is in Ithaca College, or
I mean, I haven't had any prelims. It's probably just because different majors or whatever.
yeah. So like, and so they're like midterms, but you have like multiple, and a lot of them are at like 6:30 or 7:30 at night, and then they're like 2 or 3 hours long. And that was something I didn't account for prior to coming. So a couple of my professors were really understanding and flexible, and they had no problem offering me a time during the day on one of the days like I didn't, where I had an opening in classes. And another one was not as easy to work with, but those were like added challenges, I would say. And then I just can't believe how much reading there is in college. I mean, is that, oh, and a lot of times I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I hate reading. This is horrible. And it's not so much that I hate reading. I have ADHD, so it's just a big challenge. And it's really like if you don't have the motivation, it doesn't matter like that you should do it or when it's due. Like you don't have the motivation, you just can't get through to focus. So it's been a lot. And then especially, just being a parent and not being able to utilize like the libraries, because it's way easier to work at a library than it is at home. Even if you're not like in a dorm, it's just easier. I found my favorite spots in the stacks of some of the libraries. And I kind of have a little routine. And I have like one or two friends, not that I hang out with them, they're like kids, but it's nice to like, sometimes we'll do work together, or I don't know. It's been a ride for sure. And I'm just happy to be here, like with you doing this, because honestly, at our last one, I sure hoped I would make it here, and I'm like, I've got to. But there were some times where, I mean, it's just very overwhelming to try to make it all work. And I'm not a planner, so
I've definitely empathized you with the reading. I have ADHD as well, so I definitely get that completely. Now, you did mention the financial aid, and I know last time you had still been on the process of that. Were you able to get back the financial aid that you had during your initial stint in college, or was it partial, or what ended up happening with that? I know you said you didn't get it for a few months.
yeah, so I was. And I guess it's not so much like the initial, it's not like that was reapplied. It's kind of like, it's a case by case thing with them. And they have like a really huge comprehensive aid package for, low income or like students who need it. And so I was able to get full aid. And then I've had to take out some of the loans that I've had to take out cover part of my rent because I'm on campus, and it's so they don't pay for the months that, like, you can't get aid for the months you're not in school. And I couldn't get aid for having a 2-bedroom because for me and my son, just the 1 bedroom. So some of the loans I had to take out like were the difference of, from having a 1 bedroom to having a 2 bedroom or something like that. But really, the majority, I'd say like 99%, I've gotten aid, just Cornell aid, like the Cornell, I think it's called Cornell Grant, maybe. And it's like their own financial aid package. I mean, obviously I had like whatever federal money too, but beyond that, it's a very significant amount in aid. So that I'm very grateful for. It worked out. But again, I just assumed that I would be able to take out loans for other things given my situation, that I can't be the only one in the world to be going through this. But apparently, other people understand how it works and they don't go into it with a car loan and a bunch of credit card bills. And it's probably why people don't do it, because it doesn't work like that. Yeah, so I did get my full aid back.
That's definitely good. And you mentioned how it has been, definitely a struggle the first semester. Are there any future strategies you plan to kind of do for the rest of your college experience that you maybe didn't apply in this semester?
Yes. Well, okay, so actually the like this last week, I've found a Chrome extension. Do you know about Chrome extensions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, like all of this stuff is really new to me, and I think I would, again, TikTok. Like I searched on there, like, study tips or things like that. And I found this really great extension, and it's called Swift Read, I think. So it like pops up one word at a time and it highlights like the middle letter. And so you don't have to track with your eyes, and it just kind of like spits out the words, and it's kind of hard to adjust to at first. But after like 5 minutes of using it, I mean, it's incredible. So I would say that Chrome extension is going to change my whole life, because really one of the largest things like I've struggled with is the reading. There's, for classes that meet twice a week, it's not like you have one thing assigned for the week, which I didn't realize going into this. It's like you have to do 60 pages of reading for each class, no matter how many times it meets a week, and then more work on top of that. And I think getting behind in the reading is what kind of put me behind in general, and not knowing how to like skim, and not knowing how to like how important it was to read every single word, or how much was going to be expected of me, how many questions were going to be asked on it. And I think now knowing that like most kids don't read everything, it turns out, but finding just little hacks and not putting as much pressure on myself to read every single word, and just focus on getting through what I can. I think that's going to be something that helps me. And I've learned how to book rooms like in the library or at like the hotel school, and you can like reserve a private room or something. I think that's helpful, because with ADHD, like just even people being around, like I can't just focus on people will sit down in the middle of a lobby or Starbucks and they just do their work. Like I can't do that. I'm way too distracted. So I think that's something that I will utilize in the future. And I don't know. I mean, I think I need to find an after school program for my son. So I have like a little bit extra time if I need to go to more office hours or something, because that's another thing that's hard to do being a single mom. It's a lot of office hours are in the evenings or during the day. And it's like my schedule's so tight, considering I have to be home by like 2:20, that things that I didn't really get to utilize. The reading is the big one for me.
That's definitely fair, because there is a ton of reading, as you made it sound. I'm curious because you had mentioned previously you'd been enrolled in the hotel school, but you had been planning to change it. What is your major now, and I guess why?
Yeah. So when I returned, my plan, I fully intended on transferring nowhere specific, but I had some ideas. But each college within Cornell has its own rules as far as when you can transfer. And then if you're transferring into a different college, then they have their own rules for when you can transfer in. So you kind of have to make sure everything in each school's like handbook matches up. And I believe with the Cornell school, I couldn't transfer for a year anyway. So since this is my like redo of my first semester, I don't count for a year. And honestly and surprisingly, I'm leaning towards staying in the hotel school for a lot of reasons. I would say mainly because the core curriculum is very heavy. If I already have to take all of these core classes, that are specific to that degree, and then I can't change for a year, like how much longer, will it take and how much more would I need to do? And I don't really have a lot of room to fit in classes that might go towards like another requirement. So a big reason is time. And I have realized though that hoteliers kind of can go anywhere. And I think for me, just the name hotel in the school is what kind of like puts that in your head. Like, well, I really, I'm 36 years old now and I worked in a casino for so many years. I did customer service stuff. I don't want to be in hospitality. That was a big part of my like thinking when I was coming back, like, no, I don't want to do customer service stuff. But there's a lot of people who go into consulting, like business consulting, so many different areas in like financial roles. And I'm really enjoying my financial accounting class, maybe because there's not as much reading and writing, I don't know. But it's like a puzzle kind of. And I really enjoy that. So I've realized I don't have to like go work in a hotel, basically. And that it is a really incredible school. They're like the best in the world for what they do. And so many people go into consulting, entrepreneurship, again, finance. So I would say those would be the direction I'm heading. I kind of want a minor in computer science though, just because I feel like that's the direction the world is going in. So why wouldn't I, have knowledge about information systems and things like that? Because I think that's just going to be really important and give you like a leg up in any area.
Part of the reason I minored in web programming is because coding is such a big thing, in the world today. Now, I'm curious, you mentioned you had, I think, one or two friends, but what has your social life been like throughout this semester?
There has not been a social life. So my son did go home during his school breaks don't match up with my school breaks. They're like a week off. So I would take him home to Western New York to his dad and grandma, and he'd be there for like a week, and then I'd go pick him back up. So it was nice to have 2 weeks where I just got to go to school and go to the little library afterwards. But really what I did was try to catch up on some of the stuff I was behind on and just go to the library more. No 20-year-olds are inviting me to hang out after school hours, and I'm not trying to go find any place to hang out. I mean, I really like them. It's not, they're great, but they see me as an old person and that's fine. So it's not really, and I don't really have the chance to meet other people, or I know there's so many groups for moms and kids and everything, but I haven't even had like the mental capacity to look into that stuff with just trying to, do what I need to do for me and Max and for school. And like I said, all of the financial stuff. There is no social life. It's me and Max playing Mario Kart is my social life. And I force him to play with me. So
At least it's a good game, I would say. Mario Kart's a good game. You kind of mentioned a good amount of it in my first question, but I guess what have you learned in this first semester? Not in class, obviously, but more like in life.
I have learned that it's certainly not easy, but it is doable. And I've also learned that I'm capable and I can do hard things. Like it's at the beginning, there was so much that was new, so many things I didn't understand. I didn't know how to enroll in classes. I didn't understand how that worked. I didn't understand how financial aid worked. I didn't understand how student loans worked. I didn't understand, so much. There was so much that I did not know. And it was really overwhelming and scary. But to be where I'm at now is I feel so much more comfortable. It's not like I'm walking around like a lost puppy, like I felt in the beginning. And I felt like everyone knew where they were going. And I felt like I was just in a world that like wasn't for me or I didn't fit into. And now I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I'm here, not like I'm just visiting, like I'm here and I'm doing it. And it's different from what it would have been 20 years ago. Like it was one extreme before, right? Where I didn't really have the experience because I didn't really go to class and I didn't really do all of the normal things that students who stay in college all 4 years do. And now here, this time it's the other extreme where I don't really, I go to class and I do the work, but I don't engage in like all of the events and all of the activities. So I'll never fully have that experience, the college experience, the typical college experience, which I guess, I don't know if I thought that I would coming back, or I kind of thought I would, but being here and going through it and then just having the couple of friends that I have and hearing, what their life is like, their actual college life is like, I realized that like I had the experience on this end and then now this end, and I'll take it. But it's still kind of like a very unique path, that I'm kind of on my own in going down this path. So I don't know. I'm excited to have the summer to kind of like get my bearings and reassess and prepare now that I have a semester behind me. And even so, it's just like, gosh, what else have I learned? Time goes so quickly. I thought once I became a mom that every year since I've become a mom, it's gone faster than the year before. And for some reason, I didn't think that would apply to school, but it has. Like it's gone so fast. And I've got how many more of these left? How many am I supposed to do? How many semesters are there? 8 or something. And I've got 7 more, and I'm sure that I'll be done in no time. And that's pretty exciting and terrifying.
I wish Kennedy-Brol the best of luck in the rest of her career at Cornell, and thank her for taking the time to talk to me once again. For WICB News for the last time ever, I'm Michael Memis.